I'm a legal fellow with the Center for Biological Diversity, and what I want to do with my time with you today is give you a brief overview of where we are with the Clean Air Act in terms of greenhouse gases regulation by discussing two campaigns, our 350 parts per million petition and Clean Air Cities, which kind of go hand in hand, as you'll see. So first, the Clean Air Act is a great tool for combating climate change. It provides provisions to control pollution from most major sources in the United States. Under the Clean Air Act, EPA sets limits on certain air pollutants, helping to ensure basic health and environmental protection for all Americans. Title I of the Act creates a list of criteria pollutants and establishes National Ambient Air Quality Standards, known as NAAQS, for these pollutants. The Clean Air Act has explicit authority for EPA to not only set NAAQS standards for the United States, but also has the authority to create state-specific standards under the state implementation plans. Moreover, NAAQS under the Clean Air Act is the only provision that actually sets ambient air goals, as opposed to tailpipe and smokestack standards contained in other portions of the Act, which deal with specific polluting sources, as opposed to overarching clean air goals for the entire nation. So, currently, the national pollution caps are established by federal scientists using the best available scientific information to determine the effects of different levels on human health and welfare. Once the safe level has been scientifically established, each of the 50 states develops the plans that I previously mentioned to attain the prescribed pollution cap. So the Center for Biological Diversity and 350.org have formally petitioned EPA to declare greenhouse gases as criteria pollutants under the Clean Air Act and to set a national pollutant cap for CO2 and other greenhouse gases at no greater than 350 parts per million. So, why 350? Well, prominent climate researchers have warned that we must reduce the level of atmospheric carbon dioxide equivalent to 350 parts per million or below. It is estimated that a global temperature increase of 1.5 degrees Celsius above current levels has the potential to trigger irreversible melting of the Greenland ice sheet, leading to eventual 7-meter sea level rise above that caused by thermal expansion of the oceans. A 2 degrees Celsius increase from pre-industrial levels could result in 97% loss of coral species and a transformation of 16% of global ecosystems. Using the 350 ppm would reduce our probability of overshooting 2 degrees Celsius temperature rise. And unfortunately, atmospheric CO2 is already approaching 390 ppm, causing unacceptable levels of environmental degradation. 400. Well, all right, 400. I stand corrected. There's no doubt that 350 is an ambitious goal, but failing to get there is only increasing our environmental degradation. So we appealed to, okay. Well, on the other side of the slide is the list of greenhouse gases that we included, but for some reason it's not showing up. We appealed to the EPA to employ the Clean Air Act's additive measures to list greenhouse gases. As seen with the listing of lead, once the conditions of the Act have been met, the listing and issuance of air quality standards becomes mandatory. These two conditions are, one, an endangerment finding, where the EPA finds that air pollutants cause or contribute to air pollution may reasonably be anticipated to endanger public health or welfare, and the presence of the air pollutants in the ambient air resulting from numerous or diverse mobile or stationary sources. So the Act mandates that within 12 months of adding a pollutant to the criteria list, the EPA would have to issue a quality criteria that sets a national pollutant cap. And in 2009, the administrator of the EPA signed a final action which basically was the endangerment finding. It found that 6 key well-mixed greenhouse gases constitute a threat to public health and welfare. So since the EPA made the endangerment finding, and yet we are still hearing many excuses. One, regulation is too expensive. However, a comprehensive report out of the British government, the Stern Review, which some of you may be familiar with, have found that allowing current greenhouse gas emission trajectories to continue would cost the global economy 5 to 20% of GDP within the decade, or up to $7 trillion per year, and warn that these are considered conservative estimates. Another one that you hear often is that this would burden industry. However, regulating under the Clean Air Act, most of the sources are already regulated under the Clean Air Act for their other criteria pollutants, and so this additional control will not burden industry as extensively as they claim. The other one is that Congress should regulate, but we argue that Congress has regulated with the Clean Air Act, and it created a tool that is designed to grow and add new pollutants as seen fit. Moreover, on April 2nd, 2007, the Supreme Court found in Mass v. EPA that the greenhouse gases are pollutants covered by the Clean Air Act, and the Clean Air Act has the authority to regulate. And yet, unfortunately, the Obama administration has yet to act on the petition despite the obvious and increased impacts from climate change. Moreover, Congress is attacking EPA's ability to use the this Clean Air Act, According to the House Energy and Commerce Committee, the 112th Congress alone voted over 90 times to dismantle the Clean Air Act. So with that, we at the Center started the Clean Air Cities campaign, which is basically, we believe that the equation is simple. If we want clean air and a healthy environment, we have to cut greenhouse gas pollutions, and the Clean Air Act is our best hope. So we launched the campaign urging cities around the nation to call on the Obama administration and the EPA to use the Clean Air Act to make significant reductions. Over the past 2 years, under the campaign, we've organized over 7,000 clean air advocates and over 900 organizations. And we're demanding a political shift to implement existing laws to curb greenhouse gas pollutions while creating a political space for science-based additive climate legislation. Our desired outcome is to increase public knowledge on the urgency and defeat any and all moves to delay, repeal, or weaken the Clean Air Act. We hope and have been building a bigger and broader network of individuals and groups. And we are happy to say that the Clean Air Cities campaign is working. We have 55 cities currently around the nation that have passed resolutions urging the Obama administration to act. So far, we've reached Los Angeles, Miami, Philadelphia, Chicago, Portland, Seattle, Baltimore, to name a few, and of course, Washington, D.C. It is found that D.C. will be hit hard by climate change. The city experiences the most intense heat waves on record, and the Washington region is expected to see substantial increase in extreme heat days in the coming decades. The Potomac River, has risen approximately 1 foot since 1993 and could rise another 24 to 48 inches over the next century. Flooding and storm surges will threaten homes, business, and landmarks like the Jefferson Memorial. D.C. passed a resolution under the Clean Air Cities calling for federal action against climate change and is part of the overall national effort. It was introduced by Councilmember Mary Che and was passed unanimously, making Washington the 48th U.S. community to join the Center for Biological Diversity's Clean Air Cities campaign. Our cities need to fight for clean air. D.C., along with other cities, have created a strong, broad base of communities across the country comprised of local voices, creating a momentum on the local level using local press and other forms of local media, and hoping and urging action in Washington, D.C.